your newest channel on Diamond City Radio. It's a Slice of Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Moonlight150, and this is a Slice of Gaming podcast for April 26, 2024. And we'd like to thank you for giving a slice of your time to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Radio Public, and Audible. Be sure to like on Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. Some crazy news with Embracer and Fallout's a big success, and all these other news stories that we're going to get to this week. But to wage through all the news, we got those other survivors of this wasteland. We have Bench.
Watch the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth video. It's cool.
And we have Dark. Okay, no, he died off in the wasteland. We have Wolf.
What was that?
What was that?
I'm waking him up.
I didn't hear anything from Dark.
Yeah, I think Chris kind of took a lot of that out.
I didn't hear a damn thing. He didn't even glow on Discord for me.
Wait, did you just call Craig Crisp?
No, Chris was the Discord noise suppression.
Oh, okay. I thought you were calling our boy Craig Crisp. Yeah, sorry, Moon, continue.
And also special guest Bob.
Hey everyone, Lars Wingforce couldn't be here today, so taking his place.
You didn't introduce
Fusion's
me.
the slacker.
You didn't introduce me.
Fusion's the slacker. He decided to skip us out for
sports.
introduce
me, man. You didn't introduce me, man.
I did. You guys
Yeah,
were
you
busy
did.
laughing
You
at
did.
Dark.
You interjected trying to wake up Dark in the middle of your intro.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, let's also reintroduce Wolf.
Hey,
No.
Oh, you know
No.
what?
He
Let's
demands
reintroduce Bench.
final billing.
Welcome to the podcast, Bench. First time here.
I wish it was my first time.
I don't know what to. Oh, Dark's
Moving
gone.
on.
Okay,
He really did die off in the
behind
wasteland.
the scenes for people watching, literally the moment Bench said that, Dark left.
His
So he might
internet's
be
having
experiencing some
issues.
technical difficulties. He forgot his vault suit.
Are you alive?
His Pip-Boy is malfunctioning.
Dark, did
Yeah,
you
there
not
we go,
have
we
a
can hear
screen
him
for
now.
you earlier?
My fucking internet cut out. Like the fuck.
Hi, Dark. Say hi.
Hello.
All right. So now that everyone has joined us on this excursion, we can now get through the news with Wolf.
Hey guys. So we wanted to kind of change up the way we handle the podcast now. Not completely. There's still very similar format, but we're kind of making the news more so discussion topics. Now, this is just a test. We don't know if this will fully work. Any feedback is appreciated. We appreciate any type of feedback to let us know if this style of format works better for the podcast. But we want to try to make it, because we know we're always late to the news. You guys already heard everyone's take on the news. So we kind of utilize the news topics throughout the week and create more discussion topics, kind of like our topics of the show, but they are just topics sent throughout the news roundup, basically, if that makes sense. So I will pose a question and we kind of run through that question while utilizing kind of the headlines that we get. You'll see as we go through, but I think this is fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. I enjoyed making the doc with it, so hopefully the others like it too. Between you and me, guys, I don't think they appreciate me, so we'll
Well, if
see
you
how
don't
it works.
like it, blame Bop because he yelled at us.
I didn't do anything. I like the
And
news.
also, I just want to point out, me and Bob have had a lot of trouble, so I want to renounce my vows with him. Bob, I love you.
Do you mean renew your vows? Because renounce makes it seem like
You're getting rid of them.
Yeah.
Wait. That's what renounce means?
Yeah, but that's what you take away.
Yeah. I'm sitting here on the altar and you just walked away.
That English degree is put it in work. All right, into the news. So our first question I wanted to pose the panel. Fallout. We had the Fallout show come out. Very big success. And we've seen a lot of numbers. I want to read through these. First, we have our Fallout 4 sales reaching their peak concurrent players on Steam at the moment. Okami Games has this. Fallout 4 has reached over 160k concurrent players on Steam. It's currently the second highest player count for a premium game behind Helldivers 2. And if you actually look at the concurrent games list, right now Fallout 4 is sitting at number 5. Now, I say right now. This was on April 21st. I don't know if it's still there. If one of our reporters on the scene could check real quick for me. But the other thing was Fallout76. The official Fallout Twitter account sent this out. Thank you to over 1 million of you who adventured with us in Fallout 76 in a single day, and almost 5 million across all Fallout games in a single day. So that's big numbers right there. And I kind of wanted to pose this question. Is Bethesda making a mistake not having a new Fallout game ready for, because we assume that like after Starfield is Elder Scrolls 6, we know that. And then Todd said after that is Fallout 5. But with how long it took from between even Fallout 76 to Starfield, and Fallout 76 was a separate studio, that took 5 years between that and Starfield. And we assume Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield is going to be a wait between there. So it's very possible that we don't get Fallout 5 from Bethesda in a decade. Is Bethesda, is like Microsoft not making a mistake not having a new Fallout game ready? And I also wanted to ask, will 70, like, is that a mistake, or is Fallout 76 enough? Is Fallout 76 enough to sustain the brand, the popularity, and all these other older Fallout games with Fallout 4 recently had its next gen update, and Fallout 3 in New Vegas also reaching massive concurrent peaks? Is that enough to sustain the brand until Fallout 5 is ready? Also, along with the show itself getting renewed for season 2. Very interested to hear y'all's thoughts.
I'm going to say the most middling of the road, yes and no. Yes, in the fact that they should have had a new game ready, but at the same time, we're seeing the numbers on Steam and consoles for all the Fallout games, 76, 4, hitting all new peaks, and especially recently. So it's like, they saw they didn't really need it because they have plenty of games readily available, and it's bringing back old people wanting to go back and new people wanting to check it out. So it's like, I guess they made the decision they didn't need to, and they were kind of right.
I think it's a broader discussion about Bethesda because I just don't think it's probably sustainable because of Microsoft. I just don't think it's okay that there's like 5 to 10 year gaps in between all of these franchises. Like, something needs to be figured out. Give IP to another studio, because at this point, sure, the IPs won't die, but it's just never going to feel good. Like, hearing another Fallout's probably in a decade, it's disappointing. Elder Scrolls probably in 4 to 5 years, disappointing.
No, I'm kind of right. Go ahead.
I think they're pretty well aware of this, and if you played the games, everybody knows that there's a lot of potential with the series, and I know for a fact now, after everything that's going on, Microsoft 100% sees that there's potential. Personally, I don't think 76 is gonna be able to hold out by itself. I do think, however, they're probably gonna try remaking either 3 or New Vegas to just hold people over until they figure out. And I fully do believe they're gonna give the IP to somebody else. Not
Microsoft
permanently,
will most
but
likely like force them to be like, hey, no, we need to capitalize on this. We own you guys, so we're gonna force the IP out to someone else.
yeah, and I think they're gonna agree because they're busy working on the next Elder Scrolls, and that's gonna be a gargantuan thing. I do think whatever is next is gonna probably be some other team. I don't know what team they're gonna pick, but I do think 76 is not enough, and they're probably gonna. But I know there was that big leak that happened a while back. They was talking about like how Oblivion was gonna get remade, or like a remaster or something like that. If they do that with Elder Scrolls, I can see them doing it with Fallout, especially for some of those older games. They have a lot of jank to them. If you played them,
3 was rumored.
both 3
Yeah, that
and
makes a lot more
New
sense
Vegas
than
was rumored.
that makes a lot more sense than giving out the IP to another studio to make Fallout 5. It makes more sense to give out to another studio to make another spin-off like a 76, a New Vegas style game, or a remake or remaster of an older one, but not directly Fallout 5. It makes more sense to license it out to make something else.
I think Fallout 5 will still come out probably from a different team, because it's 10 years for, like, imagine waiting 10 years for the next Halo, the next God of War. That's it. Okay. Like,
I don't
I don't
think
think that's gonna happen.
I don't think anyone but the main team at Bethesda will have no one but them will make Fallout 5. But I do think they can make a new Fallout game like New Vegas, which is completely fine, and it's still just another Fallout game, but the numbered games will stick with the main studio.
Yeah, that's why
I mean, that's kind of the question, is who is that other studio? I mean, obviously
Obsidian.
Microsoft owns In Exile and Obsidian, the 2 studios that could do it, but do you guys think they're maybe busy right now? Don't have the thing is, Obsidian's founder, if you guys remember, has said that he wants to work on a new Fallout game like a while back. And it kind of just like, is it that they're too busy because they got Outer Worlds 2, they have Avowed, and I assume a multitude of other projects still in the works? I mean, Bob, you're the
Controversy.
Obsidian expert. Expert. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the
You're the
expert from
Obsidian
Final
guy.
Fantasy VI.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was gonna say it. I really hope it's not Obsidian. I really like that they were able to develop their own worlds for the last 10 to 15 years with Pillars of Eternity, and now that's turning into Avowed. And they've been able to, you know, do their own things that aren't necessarily tied to an IP. And I know people really like New Vegas, and don't get me wrong, I would love for them to maybe do New Vegas, but if it's at the risk of an Outer Worlds 2, which we already know is in development, or a potential sequel or expansion to Avowed, I would much rather them focus on their own original IP. And I
Well,
would imagine they probably think that too, but I don't know. Maybe after Outer Worlds 2, they're like, well, you know what? It's been long enough. Maybe we'll go back. But then you're still in the same window that Bethesda would be for the next Fallout game. So it's like, okay, at that point, it's probably redundant anyway.
I mean, Obsidian's Grounded team, they finished development on Grounded recently. Like they said, they're kind of like slowing down updates, something like that. I don't know the exact details of that situation, but I know for a fact that, like, again, like you can look it up. Like the Obsidian founder has said he is interested in making a New Vegas follow up or something in that universe. If they want to make the game, then I don't really have any trepidation of saying like, yeah, go ahead and make one. You know, you clearly have the passion for the IP. You clearly want to make it. I wouldn't want them to be forced into making a New Vegas too. And if no one in that studio is interested in making it, but it's clear there is fervor, there is the demand for something in that universe from Obsidian, and everything I'm seeing, like they are very interested in going back to that universe.
Oh, Wolf.
I don't.
I don't know if Bob. I don't know if you finished the Fallout TV show. I'm gonna try to say this in a way that's as non-spoilery as possible. I think there's writing on the wall for what they could potentially be doing based off the finale.
Oh yeah.
Because
The finale definitely shows you.
it'll line up if you look at it with how long games take to make. If they start, let's say they start it now, or they're about to start it soon, it would line up with the second season pretty perfectly.
I mean, well, the second season is I would assume like TV is like 1 to 2 years. Moon, you're more familiar with that, right?
It's around 1 to 2 years for
if
shows
they,
like
if they
this.
get started on it pretty soon, that's most likely the case.
So
Yeah,
I
okay.
think, and this ties back into what I was mentioning earlier. I'm trying to say this, and I know it sounds weird. You have to watch the Fallout TV show. You know what I'm talking about. At the very end, they set it up. I think that's what they could do. At the same time, I'm not opposed to the idea of them doing like spin-offs. And I think Minecraft is the only one that they really do with, where Minecraft is they have base Minecraft, and you're not getting Minecraft 2. That's never going to happen. But they have all these crazy spin-offs that they're trying. Like they have like roguelike, a fucking Clash of Clans type of game. I like shit like that because it's different.
Yeah, no, I mean,
if they do that with Fallout.
Is it?
Hey, they originally there was a pitch for like a Halo ODST game that was very similar to Helldivers, and they rejected it. I mean, that's
That
another
would've been
question.
Cool.
That's a question in of itself. It's like Microsoft kind of like, no, I don't want to say squandering, but like not utilizing these IPs in more creative fashions. Like, I mean, like a Halo Wars. Why isn't there another Halo Wars in development?
If you
Why
want
did
to
they stop after 2?
So from my understanding of what other big people in the Halo community have said, 343 pretty much has Halo, and they have full control of it in the sense that they're not getting Microsoft's not looking over them.
Well, I feel like Microsoft should look over them.
That's the thing. A lot of people Microsoft should be looking over, but also getting into that. Minecraft, on the other hand, I mentioned Minecraft. Minecraft is very much looking into them, and that's why you don't see these big Minecraft updates. And that's why on April Fool's Day they get to do all this crazy stuff. But nonetheless, anyways, I think they should do spin-offs.
And we have studios like Insomniac who have 2 to 3 different teams. Why can't Bethesda have that? Sure, it would cause hiring a lot of new staff. Like
they have 2 teams. It's just the other team is 76.
Then
another thing is
76.
Making a Bethesda game is a pretty tall task.
I mean, the Bethesda games
How many
are
other
big,
Bethesda
but also
games do you see out there?
In my opinion, I feel like it was always kind of like a weird thing where it's like you could have made other Fallout games with the Fallout 4 engine. Like we saw that Fallout London mod and how like expansive and like ambitious that is. You know, we could have had like one other Fallout. Like, think about back in the PS3 generation. Obviously, different generations. Development cycles were a lot shorter back then. But like, we had Fallout 3, and then 2 years later, New Vegas. And obviously, New Vegas was rushed; it wasn't ready. But like, if you can do that in a more like 5 year span, I wouldn't mind like a Fallout style game in that regard every 5 years. It's just something better than a decade. Like, that's kind of my viewpoint.
Another thing too, Capcom proved that remakes can work to a very high
Yep.
success rate. Because the way that Capcom uses it is not just the remake, is also holding you off until they get the next game out. So it feels super smooth. You're getting this constant rush of content. You're really not, but it feels like that. And I
Well,
feel like
also-
more people should start doing that.
Should Bethesda, which they never will, just use a standardized engine? Like, because create whatever it's called, like, do they really need to use that? Because that's like a whole process to train new staff and then complicates things. Like, why do they
So-
have to be so stubborn on this?
The deal with Creation Engine, the way they view Creation Engine as important because mods are a lot easier to handle and create on Creation Engine, as well as the fact, God, what was it else? Creation Engine, the staff at Bethesda knows how to use Creation Engine, and a lot of the talent at Bethesda is very much like old heads, people who have worked at the company for over a decade. You know, your Todd Howard's, I forget the Starfield lead writer. I forget his name, but he's a big deal in Bethesda as well. Like, these are people that have worked at the company for a while. They know how to utilize the engine. But I'm also kind of with you, Bench. Like, that engine has shown that it is not sustainable. I don't want to say sustainable, but it's rough. It has a lot of issues, and maybe they
Outdated.
could switch over to an Unreal. Yeah, outdated. That's a good. Like, this is a very much an updated engine from like Skyrim.
Like, if you would you rather have it be very easy to mod or get a Fallout game every 4 to 5 years, an Elder Scrolls game every 4 to 5 years? I'd just rather have more content more frequently. I don't really care for mods.
So something
That.
they,
Oh, go ahead.
something they
Doug.
could potentially do, and I don't know if they'll do this, but Halo's kind of doing this right now, where pretty much people who do Forge, they're the ones that making the content for the game now. Outside of the armor, the big updates for Halo are coming from the Forge people, and that's a whole topic of conversation and stuff. But you have situations like there's the Oblivion remake inside Skyrim, and that is a very one-to-one, highly detailed remake of Oblivion in its entirety, and they have the whole process documented. Why not just hire or pay those people? Because they're clearly doing it for you. Just hire and pay those
Like-
people to do stuff to
Like,
hold you off.
this is a thing that always annoys me with Bethesda games and some other PC games. It's like, just wait for modders to fix it. Like, no, just make a good game. Like,
No,
they've
no.
made good games.
It's not them fixing the game. It's they're making a full-blown game. Like,
I'm not even talking about like, but that like Sky Oblivion, but I'm talking about like HD texture packs and stuff that like make the game better. Like, why do you? And they make modding so easy that people just like make their games better. Like, take into account that just like make the games better yourself, because that's just annoying at that point. I don't think it looks good.
And keep in mind with big games like that, there's always issues that happen, so it's understandable. But look at
Do you-
CD Projekt Red. With The Witcher 3 had a lot of issues at launch. And eventually they got patched out, but it wasn't there right away. And then, the whole fiasco of Cyberpunk. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing at Bethesda, but they pump out one of these massive games and then it's just like, okay, we got mods, the community can help out.
Do you guys think Bethesda is one of those companies that's very much set in their ways, almost to a detriment?
I think it's to a
100%.
detriment.
I think Skyrim is an issue.
I
They
mean,
let go Skyrim.
you see it with and Dark kind of mentioned it earlier, how Bethesda kind of has a stranglehold over these IP. I think the issue is, and I think it's been mentioned before, how Todd Howard is very protective over Fallout once they acquired it from, I can't remember, was it In Exile who made the original
No,
Fallout
Interplay.
one? Interplay, yeah. Or I think In Exile became
In Exile has a lot of staff from the Fallout 1 and 2 days, same with Obsidian.
right. Okay. Yeah, I think when they got that IP, I think he became very protective of it, and I think he still kind of holds like a grudge against New Vegas because it's the one that people love and it's the one not made by Bethesda. And I think that's where a lot of the stagnation, I mean, you could call it pettiness or whatever, where it's like they won't let other studios use the IP because I think they just are so protective of. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, if you want to make stuff like Starfield and you want to make new stuff, like I think you're doing a disservice to the fans of those games by being like, well, you have to wait, like get in line. So I think that's kind of like the old kind of thinking. And now even Todd's like he's the one of the main producers on Indiana Jones, and now he's being stretched thin over there. And that's not even a Bethesda, well, not a Bethesda studio, but like not the Bethesda proper studio. He's over at Machine Games, and it's like come on, man, like you're kind of doing a disservice to the Fallout fans.
I mean, not
And that's
only that,
kind of my viewpoint. I think I understand the protectiveness of Elder Scrolls because that's their baby. That's a franchise that they have nurtured since the 90s. Fallout wasn't yours. I understand Bethesda saved Fallout. I want people to understand Fallout. Literally, they got the IP for $1 million. It was a joke of an IP. It was completely useless. They saved the IP. Like people say that Bethesda ruined Fallout. No. Bethesda saved Fallout. They are the reason Fallout's a thing now.
There's also a reason that, just to further your point, there's also a reason that Fallout 1 and 2 are not topping Steam sales right now. Like there's people are going back to 3, 4 in New Vegas and 76, not 1 and 2.
Yeah, like 1 and 2, from what I hear, they're classics, they're great games, but like 3 evolved the franchise. New Vegas, furthered that evolution, and 4 is, despite its issues, like it's still a very popular game that people love. It's just that I feel like, yes, Bethesda, you did great. You did a lot with the IP, but there are other people that want to make Fallout games. Like several other companies that want to make Fallout games. Maybe indie studios. You need to be more willing to lend out the IP and say, hey, we're not going to be able to get a Fallout game ready in 10 years. We're not just going to have this massive, major, important IP just sitting there collecting dust. We need to do something with it. I think In Exile, we haven't brought them up. They are a lot of the staff was Fallout 1 and 2, and they made Wasteland 3. Maybe do a new Fallout game very much similar to the style of Wasteland 3. I think that would do incredibly well. I think you see that CRPGs are kind of in now with Baldur's Gate 3. Hop on that success. I really want this IP to be bigger and bigger because it means a lot to me. I love Fallout, and I want it to be the biggest IP in the world.
I mean, I think just Microsoft just needs to force their hand. Like, there was a point where like they were just letting Bethesda do what Bethesda does, but they aren't like the new kids anymore. That's Activision Blizzard. They're just a part of Microsoft now. Let them. You need to make some hard decisions, and Microsoft I don't think is great at that.
I also think, as far as like In Exile making a game, back to what we were saying earlier, I think it has to be a spin-off because I don't think if they make Fallout 5, you're going to get a good reaction to the people who are used to it now being a first-person shooter.
And that's the thing I want to point out. I'm like, I think Bench said it earlier. I am 100% like Fallout 5 is Bethesda. That is theirs. But call it Fallout New Hampshire. No one wants to go to New Hampshire. Fallout Texas. Fallout Oklahoma or something. You have so many states. That would actually be awesome with the Anchorage.
No, we got Far Cry for that.
No, we don't.
Just Far Cry you can do into this conversation.
Fusion isn't here. I have to pick up the Ubisoft slack.
But there's another thing I wanted to bring up too. Just based off, due to the TV show has a lot to do with it, because they actually care, but that's like a whole different conversation. There is now money on the table, and it's very much in their face. Magic the Gathering just had like a Fallout collab, and that's like the best-selling Magic the Gathering. And Magic the Gathering's been around for fucking forever, and that's a massive thing. And Fallout's their bestseller right now. Like, there is a lot of money here that I don't think they can ignore. They'll be like, okay, well, shit, we gotta do something.
I'm sure there's meetings happening right now because of the show and everything else to be like, okay, we need to like capitalize on this, do something.
Because I don't think any of Bethesda's IPs are ever going to die. They're too strong for that. They're the IPs where people who don't play games know them. But it's also not okay to do with the IPs what they've been doing. Something does need to change.
I do think that...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I do think it's interesting, going back to the original question, talking about how, like, they should capitalize because they made a show. Witcher came out 4 years after Witcher 3, and there's been 3 seasons, and probably the 4th season's come out, and we won't have Witcher 4 yet. and no one's saying, "Hey,
so-
why didn't CD Projekt Red capitalize on The Witcher and make a new game?" And I know there's rumors of the first game being remade, and that honestly speaks to what we talked about. It's like, hey, remake one of the old Fallout games, but it's like I don't think you necessarily need to like. I would hope they're having those conversations, but it's like,
Witcher
don't
1
feel like
remake is official. Just want to point that out real quick.
it is official. Oh, okay, well, yeah, perfect. Then I think you can either remake the games, but don't try and rush into something just because, like, oh my god, we don't know what to do. Capital, green light something, like go, like, be thoughtful about it. Have a tactile approach to it. But then also, honestly, I think if anything, this might actually give way longer legs to Fallout 76 than any of us would have thought.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of sentiment
that's
out of nowhere for that game being like, hey, I tried it in 2019, and it was
18.
desolate. It was, it wasn't very good.
There were no NPCs at launch.
Exactly right, which was crazy. But now, they have a good community. They've really stuck it out. There's a lot of content here, and it's like, whoa, maybe, they are like, you know what? More 76 expansions, more like, let's funnel this pipeline to kind of bridge the gap between maybe a remake and then a new Fallout game.
And I want to
we're
transition.
saying this like they haven't done anything, but they just released the new next gen upgrade, so they did
Right.
have something.
Yeah, but the next gen update took like 2 weeks. And that's kind of a
Well,
was
the
a weird,
next gen update has been rumored for years. Like, that should have came out like in
I
2020
don't know why
when
it
they
took so long.
launched the Series X and the PS5. Like that, yeah, that's crazy that took that long.
You mentioned the CDPR, and the thing with that, and I think the real issue with Bethesda, well, it's not really an issue, but people are just realizing it takes a long time to make games. It's just how it is now.
Oh
And
yeah,
Bethesda, they now have Fallout, Starfield, and Elder Scrolls. And people are realizing, like, wait a minute, we haven't had a new Elder Scrolls since Skyrim back in 2011.
Jesus, man.
When you look
I
at
mean,
it
there
like
was
that,
Elder Scrolls Blades. You forgot about Blades, the
look at
mobile game.
NESO.
yeah. So the thing with CDPR though, they only have The Witcher and Cyberpunk. If they get a little bit more, people will be like, okay, wait a minute. When you start adding all these other things, you have to get other people.
And I real quick, just want to transition real fast into this topic. I mean, Bob, you brought it up, 76. And we won't go too long on this, but like it seems like 76, maybe Bethesda's looking at that like we need to put more resources into this. This thing is actually popular now. It's popping off in a way that
Yeah,
Go
these
for it,
numbers
man.
continue like we're going. Like we saw that they've had their highest in like so long. If this is suddenly like a success now in some ways, they're gonna be like, okay, new expansions announced.
I mean, they've been so consistent with the expansions already, but like Mr. Matty Plays, a YouTuber I watch, he kind of says that they've never really over-delivered, and because all the expansions are free. They're not like paid DLC expansions. They're not like actual like like an MMO you would buy an expansion like Endwalker or something. These are very much just free updates added to the game, and they say, hey, you can do this mission. And they always felt not half-baked, but like, oh, you're just one step away from like truly something great. I think now they're going to want to start, hey, we're doing a Fallout 76 expansion. And because of how positive the sentiment around 76 is now, I think the community will be all for it. Whereas if you tried to do that in like 2019 when the game was still broken, it's like, no, fuck you.
I think they're gonna wait. I think because it's pretty clear a lot of this is because of the Fallout TV show. So I would think they're gonna wait like a couple of months.
Yeah, wait to see if
See
this new player base
see
sticks
if there's a
around.
lasting power. If the numbers are still high, they'll be like, okay, maybe we can do something. But if they dip after the hype of the TV show goes down in a bit, they're probably not. I think they'll still keep doing updates. I don't think they're gonna stop doing updates for a bit. Like we'll still see it for a hot minute, but I don't think they're gonna start pumping new stuff into it based off what we're seeing right now alone.
We'll wait and see. Real quick, I just want to point out, I actually did start up 76 the other day. Game's pretty cool. It's fucked up that VATS is the way it is because you can't stop time in an online game. So it's like an auto aim, and I hate that. But other than that, it's actually pretty fun. I enjoy it. But yeah, everything in relation to Fallout, I really hope the franchise can get something new. I love that. That show really rejuvenated my excitement for just the IP and how much I love it.
I think the Fallout TV show and the Halo people better be paying fucking attention because it shows what
God,
happens.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I want to bring this
it
up because it's a big part of this. There's I mentioned it in a previous episode. There's images going around of interviews from the people who did the Fallout TV show, and people who did the Halo TV show. People who did the Halo TV show very clearly just want to do whatever the fuck they want with the Halo IP, and they just like the Halo IP will carry us. the Fallout TV show, they care about the IP itself, and there's a very big difference between those two. And the reception shows it in full display. Microsoft has the
100%.
money to do this type of shit, and it can change everything. I think, especially with Halo, because we know that Microsoft is not hands-on with Halo whatsoever for whatever fucking reason. You gotta start like taking the reins on this.
I mean, there's a Gears of War movie also coming out. Like, they have a lot of IP that they
Okay,
can utilize into
if,
TVs and movies.
If Zack Snyder takes that movie, I'm not
Okay,
watching
let's
it.
calm down.
No,
No.
he's
No,
talking
no,
about this
no,
movie.
no,
Do
no.
not give this man this fucking series.
Oh, no,
There
I'm with
is-
you. Don't let him.
There is one person that can save even a Zack Snyder directed Gears of War show, movie, whatever, and that is Dave Bautista. Put that man
Hell
in the
yes.
armor. He is born to play a fucking Gears of War meathead. Oh my god, he needs to be in whatever they do with Gears of War.
Marcus or Dom? Which one is he? I see him more as a Dom.
I think, yeah, Dom.
Yeah. Maybe get Jack Black as Marcus. I don't know. I don't know actors.
Okay, all right.
Wait, you gotta cook it up that way. Hold on.
Keanu
No.
Reeves is like the other.
Don't
guy.
let Zack Snyder do this. You ruin. Look, Gears of War is already in a rough spot as it is. Don't do this.
Hey man, you're gonna eat your words when Rebel Moon Part 3 comes out. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
Isn't Rebel Moon
Mo-
like toe to toe with Mobius as like one of the worst movies?
We'll talk
Yeah,
about that
there's-
on the movie podcast. But we got to move on.
Spoiler alert: there is no
Into-
movie podcast.
Oh, thank God. Moving on into our favorite company. Say it with me now.
Embracer Group and Friends.
Ubisoft.
Embracer Group and Friends. No, not Ubisoft. Not Ubisoft. That's least favorite. Embracer Group is the go. They're my kings. And the thing is, they don't exist anymore. We were actually going to originally have Lars Wingford on the podcast to talk about it, but as Bob alluded to, he couldn't make it, unfortunately. Really
Oh,
busy
so that's
guy.
what that is.
Yep.
The GOAT. Warrior 64 has. I'm just going to pose this question. How long does Embracer Group have? Plus, what will happen to the studios if they pull out of gaming? This is an interesting question that feels like has been asked all over the industry. And this comes from recently, Warrior 64 has this one. Embracer is splitting into 3 companies: Asmodee Group, Coffee Stain and Friends, Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. Sorry, I'm
I
trying
think-
not to laugh.
I also
Wait,
like to
let
me-
formally
is-
announce that
there's a
Slice
little
of
more.
Gaming is now a Slice of Gaming and Friends.
Slice of Gaming and Friends. That's our official podcast name. I just want to point so Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends, Crystal Dynamics, Dam Buster Studios, Eidos Montreal, Flying Hog, Tripwire, a few other studios, and their IPs include Dead Island, Killing Floor, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Metro, Tomb Raider. A lot of the big stuff. Coffee Stain and Friends, obviously Coffee Stain, Tuxedo Labs, THQ Nordic. They got Deep Rock Galactic, Goat Simulator, and I don't know what the last one has. Oh, 4A Games is also under Metro, Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. Anyways, yeah, they decided to split up into 3 companies to hopefully try to do something about it. I don't know. What did y'all's read on this?
I've been watching.
It's
Oh, you
fun
can
to
go.
like fun to joke around about and Friends. I think it's actually pretty insulting, the names they chose. Like, it just boggles the mind. Like, you have to like do a double take when you read this. Like, for a company that's laid off tons of people and is probably like on its way out the door, like to just rebrand to and Friends for 2 of your companies, like how like tone deaf do you have to be? It boggles the mind.
Oh, hop off my goat, Lars Wingford, okay?
Yeah, I mean, all that's saying is not only did you get laid off, but Lars didn't consider you his friend. Like, that's a double whammy of a gut punch.
I want to paint the picture of how this feels like to me. Like we've seen Embracer Group come out of nowhere. I didn't even hear about Embracer Group before they started purchasing all these studios and like IPs and shit. They came out of nowhere, right? They're doing good, and then they got shot. I seen them get shot, and everybody's seen it happen. That deal fell with Star Wars or whatever the fuck it was.
Saudi.
Yeah, it was like a
And
Saudi
then I've
investment.
been watching them bleed out for the last who knows how many years. When is this going to stop? It is the weirdest situation. They've been bleeding out. Like, we all know what's going to happen. It's just taking forever for it to happen.
I mean, listen, I posed the question: how many years? Pizza bet. I don't like pizza that much. I don't know, some type of food bet. We'll do a bet on it. How long? y'all
Nerds
feeling?
gummy clusters bet.
Oh god, dude, my
What they
teeth are
have-
already fucked up.
They
Year.
have Wonder Woman,
They got Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, I don't believe KOTOR
I
Remake is
think
coming.
They
there's
have
a new
everything
virtual
that
game.
is
They
falling
lost
under
Borderlands.
Lord of the Rings. They have all the
They-
Lord of the Rings stuff.
The
They
Lord
have
of the
Dead
Rings thing
Island?
is doing. Did they have that island?
They have Dead
Yeah.
Island, yeah. That's Dan Buster.
Yo, Wonder Woman and Laura Croft is carrying this whole everything on its back, right? They had nothing. They lost Borderlands. That was like the only other big thing that they had. And I'm pretty sure KOTOR is dead. I don't see it coming
Yeah.
ever.
Whoa,
I think each of these companies individually is just gonna like go under randomly. I think in the next year or two.
I think we
Oh,
about
like just fully
everybody
like buy them.
up.
So it won't be like an all at once like death. Like it will be like, oh, Eidos Montreal is closing down, Crystal Dynamics closing down, or is
Yeah.
it just like the overall header companies, like
I mean,
Middle Earth and Friends, whatever that
Could-
is.
could them splitting into 3 different companies? Maybe they are trying to be acquired. Maybe they're setting themselves up for that.
No, this is definitely an effort to try to manage better
I think to
because
salvage
instead of
this.
manage everything, there's like they're now going to hire people who are going to be the head of these 3 different companies, and they're going to manage whatever it is under their brand. So it's definitely an effort to try to manage everything that they bought. They realize, oh shit, we have a lot. We can't manage all of this, so we're going to hire more people to do that. It's just a weird way to do it. It's like, why not just hire more people within Embracer Group to run these things instead of splitting into 3 different companies? It's got to be like a tax thing because they're all separate on this New York Stock Exchange as well.
Yep, I think that's just it. They can all be separate on the stock exchange.
I think too, like, did they have like what was the plan here? If that deal never fell through, would we be in this situation?
No,
Probably
because
not.
they thought
See, at
100%
first,
this deal is happening.
no. So the thing is, we've seen how they've acted. I think even if this deal would have gone through, they would have fucked up somewhere.
Oh yeah,
The amount of
100%.
negligence that's been shown from this company is so astounding.
That
I think it was doomed to like no matter what would have happened, they would have failed one way or another along the path.
No, I'm right there with you. I very much see that like if the deal came through, it wouldn't have like stopped the bleeding, it would have just slowed the bleeding. They were gonna go down either way because they clearly just don't know what the fuck they're doing. And they've just toyed with people's lives, toyed with these IPs, and clearly don't know what that they don't know how to run a company. Like they just need to like get out of the industry. And hopefully these companies, I mean that's the other part of the question. Do you guys think they close down or will they hopefully like find a new owner like a Microsoft, a Sony?
I think they get acquired. Worst case scenario, they
It's
get
too
acquired.
big to be fully acquired, but I could see bits and pieces being bought
No,
up.
yeah, not everybody all at once, but they're split up now. I see people like Sony will
Like
take a
Crystal
couple,
Dynamics.
Microsoft might get some,
I
Nintendo
think
might jump in
the
and get people. Who knows?
No, I think the scenario is a little bit worse than that. I think the reason you don't see that Saudi deal go through is because they're like, wait a second, we've seen your track record, we know the direction you're going. We're just gonna wait until you sell these. We get the studios themselves, you know. Like I think they're gonna do that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tencent also gets involved with this because they're always looking to acquire studios too. And you see it like with we've seen a lot with like there's like 1,000,000 level infinite games every year at the Game Awards or at like Jeff Keighley shows, and that's like a 10-cent subsidiary, and they're like really getting heavily into gaming now. I mean, you know, if it means these studios are saved, okay, but
Here's my thing.
I don't think. Because these are some pretty big IPs. You're talking about like Lord of the Rings as an IP. That's fucking huge.
well,
And
no,
IPs
I don't
don't
think
feel like
that
Lord of
is
the
gonna
Rings
go under.
fine. No,
Yeah.
here's my thing. I'll say this. I think Crystal Dynamics is perfectly safe because they are working on Perfect Dark, and I think Microsoft they're not going to let them go anywhere. They're going to try to acquire them if like anything goes under. Like if the company starts wanting to sell, they kind of have to go for that bid because you know they're helping with Perfect Dark, and it's like oh that fits with Microsoft's mold.
No, I'd agree. I just yeah, I definitely worry
The others,
that
though, yeah.
yeah, the it's just different entities who I'm not convinced are that heavily invested into gaming also just acquiring them, and then we just go through this cycle again.
100%. Well, hopefully Embracer fucks out. Real quick, last bets. I think 2 to 3 years. I'll say 3 years.
I say
1 to 2.
until we start getting word about like the projects that we know about, like Wonder Woman and all that. Once we start seeing the state of those kind of games, then we can start making predictions. Yeah, KOTOR is a bad sign, but let's see what everything else is up to and judge them on that.
The thing
Until
is,
now, they're
like,
just be like they'll be fine.
I feel like even if those games come out good, and if KOTOR remake is out and it's a great remake for whatever, I still think the negligence behind these companies is so bad. It is doomed.
Yeah, it'll still hurt them, but it'll drag them out for a bit longer. Whereas you have KOTOR, and if Wonder Woman's a giant flop and it's unplayable, not well reviewed, doesn't sell well, and then whatever their next game is after that, then it'll be like, okay, yeah, you have one foot in the grave now.
Wait, isn't KOTOR Saber?
And now it is.
Yeah, it
It's
didn't
now Saber.
Saber divest from
They
Embracer?
did, but
No,
they're
but so-
still involved. It's
Embracer's
It's
still
still
involved.
involved. Yeah.
Okay.
So as part of that deal, when they split up, they're still working on a few games, and
Gotcha.
KOTOR is
Alright.
one of those games.
Interesting situation. Hopefully Embracer stops being Embracer. That's not happening.
I do.
But you
think-
know who is? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, one last thing. I do think if the KOTOR situation fully dies, they're like, okay, yeah, this shit is done. I think Microsoft is gonna come swoop it up just because. Oh, there's the amount of backlash they got from because this was originally an Xbox exclusive, and they got blamed for that when Sony showed it. And now just like
Wait.
the amount of people calling out for this game saying that they want it to happen, I don't think Microsoft's gonna let that slip if it does fall through.
But they flamed it and Sony gave up on it. So clearly, I think it's more like Xbox One was like,
It's possible
I
they've
don't
seen the writing on the wall, but at the same time, there's a lot you can do with KOTOR. Just
Yeah, but what studio would they have that would be able to take up that mantle right now?
I don't know if it's one of
Obsidian,
their
baby. Let them at it.
Okay.
Imagine that'd be insane.
We gotta cancel Outer Worlds 2, but it's worth it for KOTOR.
It's not.
You guys
No.
haven't
Get
played
it.
KOTOR? KOTOR is one of the best. 1 and 2. Even without the restored content DLC, KOTOR 1 and 2 is some of the best Star Wars games out there in the market.
I like the idea that Larian. I would
Yeah, I
love
love
for
Larian.
Larian.
I
to
would
do
love
a-
if Larian did it, but I don't think they're gonna do it.
No, I don't think so either. But like dream scenario, like they'd be the ones who get the IP.
Yeah, I always see people like, oh, dream scenario. I think Larian make a Star Wars game or Larian make this. It's like, y'all, they're making Divinity Original Sin 3. Those nerds are gonna be happy for a little bit, all right? We gotta wait
100%,
until we
like,
can get something
they-
cool out of them.
They clearly, with how they broke up with Wizards of the Coast, want to just do their own thing with their own IP. But I think the reason people say specifically KOTOR is because that gameplay of KOTOR like lends very well to how Larian makes their
Oh,
games.
Maybe Nintendo gets involved unless the Xenoblade team do it. It's the same combat system.
I'd prefer not.
Fire Emblem devs, there you go.
You just let 'em go at it.
Wait, let them cook. Let them cook.
Let's talk about Peak.
So, as Bench said, we're going to talk about Peak. Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year
Yeah!
Door remake. Let's just skip ahead to this one, all right? I'm just going to skip ahead real quick to hype up this God tier remake. All right, let me tell you guys. Nintendo just has a little bit of things I just wanted to point out. Revamped graphics, improved quick travel warp pipes, easy character swapping, updated hint system, updated OST with option to play GameCube version,
We won.
music player, concept art gallery. Y'all, now granted,
We won.
30 it's 30 FPS, which is a little weird, but
Oof,
this seems to be much
turn-based.
more of a remake in comparison to what we originally thought, so I'm not as bothered by it. Because as an RPG, it doesn't bother me as much. I'm still annoyed, but like less annoyed than like
Wolf, we
a
won.
shooter.
Dream scenario. It's happening.
Well, the
Peak
true
Paper
Dream
Mario
scenario
is
like a
back.
60. Listen, does this game sell better than Origami King? That's all I
Yes.
need. That's all I needed to do.
Sure, hope so.
So I have a
'Cause-
question.
Yeah, go for it.
Is this a 1-to-1 remake or is there anything new?
Uh,
New
One to
content?
one.
I don't think they've said anything about new content yet.
So it's just like,
well, no-
like I can play the original and get the same experience here, just without
mean-
fast travel
Yeah,
They
but
got
how
the
are you
revamped
playing the
graphics?
original?
A lot of
emulation.
You're gonna Dark. You're gonna crime this one either way. So just play the damn remake.
No. Well, I'm
whoa,
asking
whoa,
because, like,
allegedly,
I'm conf-
allegedly.
No, I'm asking because I'm confused if they're adding new content to this or if it's just a 1-to-1 remake.
It's a 1-to-1
We don't
remake,
know
most
about-
likely.
One-to-one
But also,
widescreen HD remake.
I mean, it's like complete like overhaul remake. I mean, also like the OST, like they're putting area-specific battle tracks in places where it was never there before.
Also,
I mean, like-
don't know much about it, but apparently there's some extra scene or some scene change or something that was only in the Japanese version.
Like, is this
that
a
got changed in
Persona
the
3
Yeah,
reload
there's-
situation where it's like
there's
it's just Persona
small-
3 just better looking?
Why?
Yeah,
Why,
I mean,
why do we
yes.
invite him to the podcast bench? You
I'm
know?
asking
We're-
because I didn't know.
We're
I'm
talking about
asking.
a game
Dark,
that we're really excited for.
We're
and he-
gatekeeping this from you.
I'm not-
You're
Yeah,
allowed to
you
play
know
it.
what? You don't get
No,
to play
I don't. I guess the question is, Dark. Why? What? Like, are you just because you don't know, or you?
I
Is
don't
there
know.
like
I'm
a
asking.
question? Yeah. Okay.
I'm just like.
I
I'm
think
confused on this remake.
Wolf and Bench are getting defensive that you're about to like shit on it for this.
didn't-
remake.
I never
I
played on the
think
game.
he's just
He
asking.
sounds pretty
Dark,
aggressive.
Dark, here's what you're gonna do. You're going to play this game. If you like it, you're gonna scream about it with us. If you don't, you're just never gonna talk about it. It's
I'm
that
gonna talk about it
easy.
regardless.
Bench, we can use that for you too, by the way. We use that against you as well.
I
I'm
really
the
like
only one here that's
Mario
beaten the
RPG.
game.
It's a
No,
game
not for Paper Mario. Whoa, wait, hang on. You're just gonna hit me with that bench. You did not understand. That pirate boss was bullshit.
You never even beat Mario RPG, Wolf, so I don't even want to hear it anymore.
No, but anyways, going back to what I was asking, I feel like they didn't really explain this. This sounds like a remaster.
It's a remake.
It's not. It's a full remake. It is like you look at the visuals; they are very much overhauled comparatively
They're
to what a
also
remaster would be.
just treating this as a new Paper Mario game for the most part because the GameCube didn't sell well, so that made this not sell well. So for a lot of people,
That was all I'm asking. I'm not hating on the game or nothing.
for a
The best
lot of people, it
advertisement-
is going to be their first time playing this game.
The best advertisement for this game is that currently Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door goes for $73. So the original GameCube release. So just yeah, this remake looks like it's gonna be a banger. Pop, you jumping in on this bad boy, Pop?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I looked at because I've played the only Paper Mario I played is Super Paper Mario for the Wii. Of
Not
all
bad.
things.
That's a good game. That's a good game.
Yeah, and I really liked it, and I honestly I had a GameCube, but I just didn't. I was a kid. I didn't know any better, so I just didn't pick it up. But I mean, I really loved playing Super Mario RPG for the first time last year, and I think this is definitely going to be right up there with that.
It'll
And-
surpass it, but yeah.
Well, okay, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
See. This is what I meant, Bench. You don't
Yeah.
get to do this with other people's games if we can't let Dark slander Paper Mario. All right.
Well,
That's
I mean,
the
just
rule,
be a
man.
slandering.
hypocrite. You're
Oh no, we're just setting up that you might slander Paper Mario. So we're just
and then
talking
we're just
about
gonna
it.
ban you.
You're gonna ban me
Look at
on my own server?
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way,
Power trip.
I watched the preview. I actually skipped around the preview because I'm like, I really don't want to see like a lot of this game because I never played it. So I'm not trying to like get this deep dive. But like I saw like how the combat can be a little bit different, just like the interactions with characters, and then still that kind of like the fact that it's paper. They kind of play with that idea in certain areas, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in. Like this looks like good stuff. It's held in a really high regard.
And also, like, this
Um,
isn't like a 10-hour game. This is a 30 to 40-hour RPG.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Yeah.
He said that like it was a selling point.
I mean, he's going from like Mario RPG, which was like 10 hours, and I didn't know if he knew if it was just like bigger than that or not.
No, I knew it was bigger, but like also like I don't know, not like I liked how the
What is
pace. Like I
selling
don't the length of the game doesn't matter as long as it's paced well. Like you can have
I mean,
a
that's the
good,
thing.
well-paced 10-hour game. Just like it being 10 hours doesn't mean it's bad.
I mean, that's the thing with Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. It's an incredibly paced 30-hour game. You're always getting new stuff. It's just immaculate.
Also, better fast travel. So I won't get stuck in that room of the pirate boss anymore. Because I remember I couldn't go back to grind to fight the pirate boss and, more buffed up. That motherfucker locked me in his room. So now I can leave that room and grind. I'm not getting stuck in the fucking pirate boss anymore, boys. Not anymore.
You
I'm
didn't
a
have
better
like a pair
man.
of scissors.
Oh yeah, I guess they did mention that it's like the fast travel, and I guess swapping party members is now you could do it anytime, which I guess wasn't a thing in the
Yeah.
old game.
Well, it was
So,
just a few
It
extra
was
steps.
there. It's just, it's a lot faster now, basically. It's
Yeah,
just
okay.
overall like nice quality of life. Very
Either way, I'm gonna wait for the Switch 2 port.
Dang. I will say,
Need that to
not
be, yeah.
really related, but I don't know if you guys saw. I think it's as much as I hate pre-ordering from them now. The GameStop pre-order, you get a reversible or a separate sleeve that's literally
only-
the GameCube
I
cover
can
art
confirm for the
sleeve.
US, 'cause I
It's
saw it was
only
for Canada.
GameStop Canada.
Oh, okay, great. Guess I'm getting a Visa
I
then,
was
because
Jack-
that.
You gotta ask
Jat's
Jack.
gonna be
yeah.
buying us multiple
Oh,
copies.
yeah. Okay, Jat's gonna make so much money off of us.
Moving on. Metaphor ReFantazio got a showcase, right? It was like a showcase, right?
Yes.
Yeah, officially got a release date. pre-delay, of course. We don't know this is the final release date. October 11th, 2024. Don't get used to that. From the creators of Persona 3, 4, and 5, Okami Games has this little write-up. New real-time combat system in addition to turn-based. Explore large open zones, more dungeons than any previous Atlas game, including main and side dungeons. Job system, and then also coming to PS5, Xbox Series X/S, and Steam. And I wanted to pose the question, is this going to be Atlas's big franchise? Is this going to be on the level of Persona? Or is this going to just kind of be a one-off fun thing, and maybe they do a separate IP out of this? I'm very curious to see. What
Depends
you
on
guys
how
think.
it sells.
They have plans from Midori, the leaker. They have plans to franchise this. But I mean,
Yeah, those can all go out the window if this doesn't sell well.
I think they'll
It's also-
franchise it, but I don't think it'll hit the peaks of Persona or anything.
mean,
like
I think it
Persona
could be
had
as
years
good.
to build up. Like, this is a brand new thing.
I think this is going to be very, very good. I have a couple worries just because they're really leaning into the time management system with traveling, and just make that, if they can make that feel not annoying and meaningful, that'll be all there for me. I mean, just like this game looks absolutely gorgeous. Like the art style, the UI, just give me this game now. I'm so excited. And also, like, Sega's had such a banger year. Like, it's kind of insane. From Like a Dragon, Persona 3, Unicorn Overlord, the Sonic remaster. Like, what an incredible year for Sega. Like, they really are on top. I mean, yeah, Metaphor looks just... They really needed the 30-minute showcase for it, because it really dived into pretty much most of the gameplay systems, because we didn't really know what to expect. So, I'm very excited. We'll be here day one, and the music for this game is fantastic. Hello?
Is that all we wanted to say?
I mean, there's not really much else to say on it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks very interesting, and they definitely are expanding on the whole here's how you spend your time aspect of the Persona games, and the fact that traveling from like city to city will take actual time, and that's when you do all these side content things is a nice way of expanding upon that instead of just like this endless time bubble that you're in Persona, where you can spend all day at your part-time job, and yet when you get off it's still like the sun's going down, which is like super unrealistic.
So something else that Midori mentioned was that the jump from P5 to P6 will be equivalent to the jump from P4 to P5, which is fucking gargantuan. Do we see these features, like the open world exploration and all that, in Persona 6?
No,
I'd
I think
assume so, that
Persona's...
they're like sharing.
I think this is like
tech and all that.
this is like our first look at Persona 6, I feel like. But I know for a
think
fact the combat's gonna be the same. Besides
I think
the
yeah.
Personas.
I think, well, no, because this is a different combat. There's jobs. Like, everyone can have a different, like, they're called archetypes, and everyone can have, like, everyone has the wild card power, I guess is the best way to put it. Everyone can have...
Or kind of like Yakuza Like a Dragon, where you can switch jobs.
It's a job system. Apparently there's, like, dozens of jobs, and they all have skill trees and stuff, so it's very, like, system-based, and you unlock these through doing bonds with people in side quests and main quests. So it's all very... This should be such a massive game.
Video games.
For real.
Yeah.
Wolf will not be playing this.
No.
Wait, what the fuck is this about? I come back to getting slandered? What?
Hey, I'm not
With,
gonna play it either, but I'm happy for you guys.
Wait, what's the deal? Why won't I play a bench?
He's trying
Because
to keep-
you haven't played Rebirth yet.
What does that have to do
Oh
with
my God.
anything?
No, hold on. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Well,
He
okay,
ain't doing
okay.
shit.
Are you guys saying I don't like JRPGs? Because that's not a lot. That's a that. I've,
Hey,
okay,
you're
but
playing
I
it-
just Freudian
How toxic-
slipped and said that's not a lie. So maybe it's not a lie. Hang
How
on.
toxic will this community become? That's the real question.
Wolf
You
is
guys-
playing
you
some
guys
weird
gotta
ass
make
games.
You gotta make games like Infinite Wealth, and then I'll play them. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, this is by Sega as well, so that's more. You gotta play it.
I've never heard of those guys.
I mean,
Moving
you
on.
play your game of
Granted-
the year is a little
Granted,
Gator game, so
the job system in ReFantazio is a lot like in Infinite Wealth. How it works in Infinite Wealth.
See, there you go. That's how you sell me on the game. God, bench saying I won't play it. Jeez.
go back to your little Gator game.
Damn, you gotta let him do that too.
Damn.
It's actually fucked. I hope Rebirth 2 sells badly. Rebirth 2.
Rebirth 2, baby. Remake, Rebirth, and Rebirth 2. That's the trilogy.
That'd be wild. Hang on, let him cook. Anyways, moving on. I want to move into our transition into Microsoft. More specifically, we got their financial report, and I had a question in regards to this that I'm very interested to hear y'all's thoughts on it. Tom Warren has this Microsoft's Q3 2024 fiscal earnings. Windows OEM revenue up 11%, devices revenue down 17%, gaming revenue up 51%, and I should point out this is after the Activision Blizzard acquisition.
It's actually
Xbox content plus. Oh, go for a bench. Did you?
I was actually. It's technically, if you take out the Activision Blizzard stuff, I forgot who it was. It's down 5% year-over-year.
For gaming revenue? I thought that was hardware. Oh, no, hardware.
Well, I
Okay,
can
never mind,
double
I see it
check.
now. Yeah, double check real quick. And then Xbox content plus services revenue up 62%, and then Xbox hardware down 31%. That's the thing I was mixed up on. And I also wanted to point this thing. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella on cross-platform Xbox games, quote, "Finally, we're expanding our games to new platforms, bringing 4 of our fan favorites to Nintendo Switch and Sony PlayStation for the first time. In fact, earlier this month, we had 7 games among the top 25 on PlayStation Store, more than any other publisher." And I kind of wanted to pose this question. What is Xbox's strategy moving forward regarding its console business? Now, obviously, we talked a lot about this back when the news was first breaking about kind of like the third parties bringing games to other platforms. But it seems like those games came out and not a lot changed. Not a lot really felt like the world was going on fire. Like, what was that one Xbox Twitter account, Bob, that everyone was meeting
Tim
on?
Dog?
I forget his name. Tim Dog, yeah. Tim Dog was like selling his
R.I.P..
Xbox and shit. God bless. But it seemed like it was a lot less of a, I guess, explosion than a lot of people were thinking. And I kind of wanted to pose the question. I mean, do you guys think that this will just be more of a transition, like a very slow transition, where it's like, hey, here are these games that are about a year. It's been a year. We're going to bring them to other platforms, and then slowly transition into maybe day and date? Or is it just an overreaction? Are they kind of going to stick to the same old, same old?
Oh, I want to get into
From that Satuya, however you say his name, tweet, he didn't mention no 4 games. He said, we're expanding our games to new platforms. He wants everything everywhere. And I think that's what's going to happen in the long run.
Yeah, it's just them kind of like quietly saying, yeah, we kind of don't care about this console market, or not like the market, but like the race, I guess, is to say. And we're just like, we're going to make games and we're going to sell our games, and that's where all our money's going to go, is just making games.
Even like Microsoft has always been ahead of the curve with certain things, especially in the gaming market. It's just another one of those situations where they're doing that. That's what I feel like, to me at least. They're just ahead of it. They just start it now slowly, and then when everybody else gets on board, they're just gonna full send it. But I want to get into the whole Activision Blizzard thing and the earnings, but I see a lot of people talking about this. They say that without the Activision Blizzard, if you were to take that out of it, that Microsoft's gaming revenue was down. The thing is, they've been working on this deal for so long, and it was a very arduous fight for multiple years. If that deal would have never happened, I'm pretty sure those numbers would have been changing, as their focus would have been different. So I don't know why everybody's like freaking out over that the gaming revenue is down 5%.
Wait, what do
Well, I
you
don't
mean
think
by that?
anyone's
Are you
freaking
saying
out.
like if they never
No,
pursued Activision Blizzard,
Yeah,
that
so
the
they're saying-
revenue? Okay.
I'm saying that the numbers would probably be different if they never, because their focus would be different when they had a lot of different money, different things. That's what I'm
I
trying
don't
to say.
think the studios aren't involved in the acquisition. I think it would have still been down.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't think that would have necessarily changed that much.
Because what would they be focusing on in
They can
then?
do more
Because like
deals.
they've been doing deals. They
But
still
then,
do
but
more
then the
deals.
deals, but then the deals would just once again, it would be another thing that you would take away from the earnings report to show that it's -5, like gaming revenue is still down. So I don't know if I necessarily like.
That's just my stance on it, though.
Sure, no, I just like I don't think it would change. I think more so the reason that it's down is because Xbox hasn't had a big game yet this year. This time last year we already had Hi-Fi Rush and Minecraft. Not
Legends.
Is it Legends? Okay.
No, that was Legends. Yeah.
Yeah, I get Legends and Dungeons mixed up, but like they already had 2 games, and granted, not like the most like commercial success, but that is still 2 higher profile games from their studios, whereas like this year we're still waiting on Hellblade in May. So I think that has also something to do with it.
Also, another
Yeah.
thing, if you want to talk about revenue and stuff, this is going to be the first year Call of Duty's on Game Pass. not just the old games, but like a brand new title, day and date. That number's about to skyrocket. I'm
Well,
genuinely
yeah, I
curious
mean,
how high these numbers are about to get. Just off
that's
of
the
Call
real
of Duty alone.
question. It seems like this Activision Blizzard acquisition definitely boosted up their number in terms of the actual revenue gained. But the question is really, does that affect hardware? And does Xbox really care at this point? Are they like, you know what, we kind of like lost this war. We're going to cater to our fans still, but we need to find new markets on other platforms.
Yeah, I mean, Phil kind of said it already that, and I don't know if it's just been Phil, but I think it's also been, I want to say Matt Piscatella also posted something where it's like the gaming market as a whole is pretty flat at this point, and I think it you're not going to necessarily, and especially with the comments that he also said about how the digital generation of the PS4 Xbox One was like the worst generation to lose. Like between those two things, I think you start realizing like, all right, we're in third place. I don't think there's going to be enough to get to make up that ground. So let's just start chasing different strategies that still make us competitive without us necessarily having to put all of our chips in the hardware basket. And like you're seeing that with cloud, you're seeing that with Game Pass, you're seeing that with putting the games on other platforms. And yeah, like Wolf said, those games came to other platforms and more people are enjoying it. And I don't think anyone's really like those hypothetical arguments of, well, why I don't want to buy an Xbox anymore. It's like I don't know if that's like actually playing out. I think that's just something like, sure, I wouldn't be surprised if some people are thinking that, but I think because it's such a slow rollout to that strategy, I don't know how much that's actually affecting their bottom line.
I think eventually everybody's just gonna be starting that format where I'm granted, sure, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be like a time limit to it. Where it'll be like, okay, we'll go on PC first, then on 3 years later it'll come to like other platforms. But I feel like everybody's gonna start doing it, besides Nintendo, because they don't give a shit. But I think this is the direction that Microsoft sees the future heading towards, and they're just starting early. And they have a track record for doing this. Sometimes they jump the gun a little bit too early, like they did with the Xbox One generation. But who knows?
Well, and you're seeing
Very
it too
curious.
with Sony. I mean, they just added the PlayStation trophy support with Ghost of Tsushima PC port, and it's like, okay, they're clearly starting to try and integrate the PlayStation platform on the PC. And so it's, yeah, I mean, it's clear that that strategy worked for Microsoft, and Sony is now adapting to that.
Very curious to see where
I,
that
I
goes.
hope I don't know if this is gonna happen. My hope, personally, is that this leads to just a generation where there's just games and everyone can play games. There's no exclusivity or very
I don't know
little
about that.
exclusivity compared to now. I think that's the
Yeah, for
direction we're
sure.
heading in. I
No,
still
I
think
think
there'll
that's
probably be
very
some
fair.
extras, but I think it's gonna be a lot less than what we're seeing now. And I think the landscape's going to change. I don't know how long that'll take, but that's where I think we're heading.
I think
I
it's
think
happening a bit faster than we're expecting. I'll say that much.
I think it's still going to be tiers, though. I think Xbox is going to be easily the most multi-platform, least exclusive device. I think Sony is going to let up a little bit on the PC side, but still keep everything console exclusive. And then Nintendo's just like, yep, you can buy a Switch.
Nintendo's not changing.
You can buy a Switch. Yeah, fork
I've
over your
covered,
money, buddy.
I've covered that company for years, and I
Nintendo's gonna
know
come
how
up with
they
a
work.
cardboard box again, and they'll be like, have fun.
5 million sales, baby. I do want to also transition into kind of another question is, will Microsoft change the way that their showcases handle? And this kind of brings up a question because of the Activision Blizzard acquisition. So now they have three major publishers, Activision, Blizzard, if you count them separately, with Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and then also their internal studios. Do you guys see a shift in how they handle their showcases? And I kind of bring up this question because Warrior 64 has this: Blizzard has made the decision not to hold BlizzCon in 2024 while we're approaching this year differently, and as we've explored different event formats in the past, rest assured that we're just as excited to ever bring back BlizzCon back in future years. Does this have anything to do with how the acquisition handled, and maybe Microsoft wants to have more direct control in how they handle Blizzard showcases, or is this kind of like an unrelated thing?
I think it's yeah, I think Blizzard is just like heads down on stuff they're working on, like the new WoW expansion. I don't think they really need. I mean, also the thing with BlizzCon is it's a big thing for the fans, And a lot of the stuff they used to do at BlizzCon, they can do like on YouTube. So I don't know.
I
I
mean,
think
maybe
it-
not even YouTube, but maybe an Xbox showcase or developer directs.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the very most, I would see the name changing to just Xbox Showcase instead of Xbox plus Activision Blizzard plus Bethesda. It's just
Please, I
gonna be
hate
Xbox.
that so much.
And,
I
and at the
hated
very
that so much.
most, maybe they just have it so that like Activision Blizzard's just separate from the Xbox Showcase. They'd be like, tune in tomorrow to see what Activision Blizzard's doing. Other than that, I
Yeah.
don't see much changing.
Yeah, for me, it's like if you guys remember the last like Bethesda showcase before last Bethesda E3 showcase before Xbox acquired them, you know, they went out there and it's like it was one of their biggest duds of a showcase because they just really didn't have anything to show. And I feel like that's the same path like BlizzCon's going on the last couple years, where it's like, yeah, there was an update to Overwatch. There
It was the
was,
survival game.
I mean, outside of like Diablo 4, obviously was a big one. But it's like, yeah, and then you know maybe an announcement of a new property. But for the most part, it's kind of been like, yeah, here's a update to Overwatch, here's an update to World of Warcraft, here's an update to Hearthstone, and here's an update on Diablo. And I think now when you're under also, I mean, we kind of talked about, but it's like there's a reason that like E3 died, not only because of you know, like major players backing out and then the pandemic and everything transitioning to online. It's also a lot cheaper. And I think I don't know if Blizzard and Activision can afford to make that kind of investment in something like that. Like I don't think that's just that's just not something that you see anymore. I mean, PSX hasn't happened in you know what 5-6 years. I mean those in-person events just don't really happen anymore, and I think now between Xbox, Activision, and Bethesda, you know, game development's taking longer, so it's like I don't think you have to worry about, maybe they will keep it separate, but I don't think there's enough being worked on that it would be an over bloated show to have all three of them in the same show. Like I think they're not working on enough to where it's like, yeah, you could probably have a very well paced out 2.5 hour show between the three studios. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Something I
Your
wanna-
opinion is just as important as mine, and
Oh,
obviously
thanks.
I have the most important one. But no, Dark, you had something to say. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
This is a little bit like this is related to Microsoft, but this is something I kind of seen the writing on the wall for. I want to know what you guys' thoughts on. So I've noticed that they started adding DLC to Game Pass. And normally with Game Pass, you just get the game. You just get the base game and then DLC you get to buy extra. With Persona 3 Reload, they giving you the full blown expansion, which is like I think $30 alone. But then now we're starting to see, like with Overwatch recently, they're giving some premium skins out, which people have paid a lot of money for. I think it's like 3 premium skins. They're starting to pump out a lot more like DLC and premium content. Could we see possibly something like the Diablo expansion be part of Game Pass? Since
Yeah, I
they just
think-
should have owned this. They don't even have to do a deal for
It's-
anything. They just own it.
It's possible, but at the same time, like Forza, those expansions aren't on, like the Horizon expansions aren't on
Yeah,
Game
I want to say this is
Pass.
something that I've just started seeing recently with
Yeah.
Overwatch and Persona. This started like
Well,
brand new.
Well, no, they did it last year with Overwatch. They gave you the first 5 heroes for free, if you had Game Pass. But yeah, I mean, it's still relatively new, right? Within the last year.
Yeah.
Is the Persona? Because I actually don't know. Is that a perk, or is that like
perk.
on the coming? Okay, so it's like one of the like, hey, here's 1,000 V-Bucks in Fortnite, or hey, here's the Persona 3 DLC. Is that
Yeah, it's a full blown expansion pass. That's
okay?
$30. That's a
Yeah,
perk.
Yeah, it's
that's
basically like
interesting.
their like season pass, I guess, where it's a bunch of costumes, music, and then come September, it's the DLC story.
Interesting. Okay. I mean,
And
they
I've noticed now with the latest perk with Overwatch and even Fallout, I can get off to Fallout a little bit. With Overwatch, the main thing, these are like premium skins that cost out
yeah,
the
I saw
Overwatch
that.
is
It's like
mad
the
fun.
$20 skins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are and you get 3 of them, and they're some really nice skins. I'm like, shit, they might be actually putting DLC into Game Pass now. And with Fallout, they give you like Fallout First, I think that's what it's called. You get Fallout First for a month. You get everything that it has to offer for free, and then you cancel it, and you have everything. By the way,
Yeah, that I mean that is Nice. And you did see it too with Halo and Sea of Thieves. I mean, Sea of Thieves, every once in a while you get like
No, so the thing is,
ship skins.
I know that they always give out like free things, and I'm like, they give out like skins here and there, and they do it with Call of Duty too. I'm like, this is more premium stuff. Like a full-blown expansion pass that costs $30. I would have never thought that was coming to Game Pass. Let alone the Overwatch skins.
I think
This
that
could be nothing. This could just be like a
I
one-off
think the
thing.
difference
I
is,
think that they're
well,
going for DLC.
it's
Potentially.
DLC, but it's a lot of their stuff. The only exception seems to be so far is the Persona stuff. Everything
Yeah.
else has been like it's under their banner, so
Yeah,
they're
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
okay,
So could we? Because we know that I think is it this year or is it next year? The Diablo expansion.
this year.
Would that
It's
be on
this
Game
year.
Pass? I don't know.
I
I
don't
feel like it's
think so.
possible.
I think they want to make the money off the people that bought it on Game Pass, or not bought it on Game Pass, but downloaded Game Pass to play Diablo. And you need money off of those players outside of just the cosmetic shop. And I feel like it would be kind of a waste to put it right on Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean that was the like I keep bringing up Horizon because that was the strategy with Forza Horizon 5 was they specifically made a item in the Microsoft store that's like, hey, you have Game Pass, great, you already own or you will own Forza Horizon 5, the base game. Here is the upgrade path to the deluxe version for $45, which is usually what $110 for normal people because you're paying the base game. Here it is for $45. You already have the game, and now it's like for some people, it's like, oh, well, I saved $60 and not paying for Horizon. Now I'm going to pay $45 for all of the content. So I don't know if they would do like a full expansion like Diablo, but I could see like Call of Duty, for example, like the first season battle pass. They give that as a perk, but I don't
Yeah,
know about full
it's
blown
nothing
expansions.
crazy, but like I don't know. I could just be saying nothing, but this is something I wanted to point out.
Yeah, it is weird that
Seems
Sega
cool.
of all people is the one that did that too. It wasn't like an in-house studio that offered that.
Well, but I mean, I think with Sega, it kind of just comes down to like they know they don't get a lot of their sales on Xbox, so like I think the deal was a little bit easier to like situate. But maybe I'm just pulling something out of my ass. I don't. That's kind of my viewpoint. We will see. I'm very interested to see how Game Pass grows in the next coming years. But that's too far away. I want to talk about what came out this week, and we got some reviews. I don't want to go through these too. I want to go through these a little fast because we've been running a little long. Stellar Blade is our first big review. We got 5 reviews this week. This was a very busy week in comparison to most weeks when we do our reviews of the week. Stellar Blade right now is on OpenCritic, sitting at an 83. 86% of critics recommend. IGN gave it a 7. Eurogamer gave it a 4 out of 5. Game Informer an 8.8 out of 10. GameSpot an 8 out of 10. So overall, very like solid, like sitting around the 7 to 8 range, which is kind of what we all were predicting. I think we actually outright, one of us predicted straight up 83. So whoever did that, I think it was me. I'm awesome. So yeah, I'm going to congratulate myself on that one. I picked up the game, haven't loaded it in yet, but I'm very excited to check it out. Most likely this weekend. Anyone else
I've played
thinking
it.
of grabbing that boy up?
I've played it for like 2.5 hours.
Hey, you can talk about it right now.
Okay, 2.5 hours in. Some early thoughts is I'm really enjoying this. It's been pretty linear so far, but the linear areas have been pretty big and have rewarded exploration in a really satisfying way. And then just the action has just been one of the best action games I've played in recent memory. Like I'm actually having somewhat of a challenge. It's satisfying. It's fun to pull off combos. It looks gorgeous. The music is just amazing. Like I'm really impressed so far, especially for a studio's first game.
Well, I mean, technically it's not their first game, but first console
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. So it's also very polished. Like I'm playing on balanced. I'm pretty sure stable 60 looks fantastic. No complaints so far from me.
I mean, I hear that OST kind of you hear any of that good ass OST, or is it kind of like you haven't noticed it yet?
Dude. Oh, I did say it. Like that OST is insane. Like I'm vibing with it so hard. It's so good.
You think it's gonna be kind of like something we talk about by the end of the year, or is it gonna be like an early year? Forget it. I mean, obviously
I think
this
it'll
year
be-
seems to be a lot lighter.
I think it'll be something I talk about at the end of the year. I mean, I'm only like 2.5 hours in, but it's easily one of the best 2024 games I've played so far.
best OST probably.
No. If it,
I mean,
maybe
if
with-
it's
You and Rebirth,
dude, yeah, no, I'm with Bench on this. Like Rebirth, there's no way it
It's
doesn't
also-
win Best OST. It's
It's
cheating.
I'm
also-
just saying, like,
yeah.
nominated.
Yeah, it'll be
Oh,
nominated.
yeah.
Like I also think it's like different from Rebirth. So it's very near-esque, but I'm kind of liking it a little more than Nier, the OST. So good, really good so far.
Well, the real games OST that I need to talk about. No, that's a bad transition.
Little
Next game
Gator
is
game?
Iron Croc. Why are you roasting me for that? Shut up. It's a literally like 2-hour game. It's cute. Iron Chronicles 100 Heroes. This one came out I think earlier in the week, April 23rd. Sitting right now at a 76 on OpenCritic. IGN gave it a 7. Eurogamer gave it a 3 out of 5. PC Gamer 85 out of 100. Game Informer gave it an 8. GameSpot gave it an 8. One of the more scathing reviews was Jason Schreier just said on Twitter, he was like, I don't like this game. It was a disappointment. Bench,
Yeah,
I know
I
you
think-
were excited about this one.
I was excited.
How
I
you-
still haven't played like the prequel game, which is something I want to play. But I mean, this is definitely disappointing. As someone who's never played Suikoden, I mean, like the town building aspects people were talking about, which is apparently good here and everything, seemed like it could be pretty good. I mean, I'll play this probably eventually, but for no more than $20. Like, it's just disappointing to hear that it just wasn't super great. I do want those, like, it does just get me more excited because people talk about Suikoden 2 so much. I want those HD remaster things. Like, that's something I really
Too
want
much
now.
faith in Konami, man.
I was gonna say with Konami.
That trailer looked
I
very
mean,
good.
It looks like if it's just a graphical overhaul, like even okay, I was about to say even Konami can't fuck it up, but apparently they can't even get a fucking collection of Metal Gear games, right? So never
This
mind.
is-
God bless
Is
Konami.
this like Konami or like resourced out though?
It's Konami. I think it's internally.
So
I might
be wrong.
Konami's name is on it. It's cursed in one way or another. It's just the way-
I want to play those games, so hopefully it's really good. But yeah, just 100 Heroes. I thought it'd at least score like an 80 or 81. I mean, it's like at a 76, which is just pretty disappointing.
This is the beginning of Bench's
I mean,
journey
like,
that
four-
not a lot of games reach those 80s.
Yeah,
I
I was
mean,
gonna
look-
say, like,
Okay,
this
wait,
whole
you said
time.
80, 81? That's 4 points under. Okay, that's not that big of a
I
deal.
think-
Look, it's destroyed it.
I think it's just something that it's been talked about for a long time, and people talk about Suikoden so highly. I just thought it'd be a little better than it was.
I think when a game is in that like mid to high 70s, I think that's a true your mileage may vary scenario where
Yeah.
it's like clearly there are still people who really like it, and then there's just some people who
It just means it's niche, basically.
right. Like I don't think that means it's
Is
a
the game
disappointment because
broken
you
in
can
any
still
way?
love it.
The
It
game
had a
does have
lot of hitches.
Okay.
a lot of
apparently.
bugs.
Okay,
it
so-
also had
I was about to say, besides the hitches, this sounds like a game you just have to play for yourself to see if you like.
yeah, and I'm gonna play the prequel in this eventually. It's just like it dropped down the backlog pretty drastically.
Is it on Game Pass or am I making
Yes.
It's on Game
It
Pass.
is.
It was
Okay,
announced
okay.
for Game Pass, I guess, during its original announcement. So
That's
it's
why
been-
Bench will play it.
It's something
No,
that-
it's not.
Maybe that's why Bench is hating on.
It's-
Mhm.
Yeah, it
basically
is.
Microsoft
Yo,
back.
Bench, that's my boy. Let's go.
Phil Spencer
I
ruined
honestly
this
like-
game. Am I right, Bench?
Yeah, he also ruined all my Atlas games. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that man. Another 7 out of 10 game. So apparently unplayable according to Bench. Tales of Kenzara Zao is that Metroidvania that recently it actually hit PS Extra. I think I might be wrong. It's sitting at a
Right, I
70.
have it there.
Oh, it is. Okay, cool. 77 on Open Critic. This is the EA original game with the guy that came out on stage on the Game Awards, talked about his father. Really sweet speech.
The Bayek
you
voice
guys,
actor from
Bayek, yeah. Eurogamer gave it a 4 out of 5. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. I want to point out something. I'm sorry. This is okay. I know it's easy to dog on IGN, but the fact that the last 3 games were 7 out of 10s from IGN, like,
But they're
Gotta
different
use
This is why the
reviewers.
scaling system sucks.
I know it's different reviewers, but it's just kind of funny. Like, it's like 3 in a row. Easy Hours got a 7.5. Game Informer gave it a 7.5 out of 10, and GameSpot gave it an 8. This looked to be like a pretty decent Metroidvania. I know Jeff Grubb was talking about it. He was like, "Yeah, it's good if you like the genre, but like, it's not doing anything crazy." Greg Miller was kind of like the story didn't hit for him, and Blessing Out of Yo-Yo Jr. also from Kind of Funny was saying the story did hit for him. Paris Lilly talked a lot about how the story did hit for him. So again, this seems like another, like, as Bob says, 7 out of 10 very much is. Mileage may vary. If you're a fan of African mythology, the African mythos, like I am, I think it might actually hit a lot harder for you than maybe it does for other people.
I think from what I have heard too about it, it's like, yeah, I think for more people, the story is the thing that may resonate with you, but the gameplay, I think for a lot of people is where it's like, it just doesn't feel like, you can tell it's a studio's first game. And there's some jank, or maybe it's just like the gameplay isn't all the way there. Like, you can see the vision they had, but it just didn't fully come together. And especially when Prince of Persia came out literally 3 months ago, I think it always had kind of a harder hill to climb.
I need to play that game.
So what you're saying is,
everyone-
after beating Hollow Knight, I should not play this.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, I mean, hey,
In other
you
words,
could
play
still.
Prince of Persia instead if you want to game.
For the love of God, play Prince of Persia. That game needs to
I thought
sell
Moon
better.
already
So
did.
that
That game did.
No, I'm saying everyone. I'm saying
Oh, okay.
everyone needs to play.
Yeah, I need to hit $20 and then I'm down.
25. That's why the company is dying.
It's $30 right now.
Multiple times
Ubisoft is
for
dead.
all types of
Ubisoft
other
is dead
games.
because of
This game
French.
that's actually
but-
genuinely good. He's like, I'm gonna wait for a sale.
But that's a JRPG. This isn't a JRPG.
Moving on to Sandland.
You bought Tekken 8
Jay-
Helldivers.
Helldivers. Good.
You played it for like a day, Bench. You're not.
I played
a
it for
true
8
Helldiver.
hours.
God, you
That's
bought
not
it
better.
at full price.
Sandland.
I've been busy.
Sandland. Thank you, Bob. Right now it's sitting at a 73 on OpenCritic. IGN gave it a 6. They broke the record. We got a 6 out of 10 instead of a 7. Let's go. PC Gamer gave it a 65 out of 100. Game Informer 7.8. GameSpot gave it a 6.
Wait. 7.8. Like, damn it! Like, you can't just put it down 3
So-
points or put it up 2 points. Like,
so what-
how?
so-
That's so stupid.
Real quick. That is because Game Informer uses 0.25s and it rounds up to 7.8. So it's actually a 7.75.
Well, that's still stupid.
Where are you getting the 7.8 from?
Yeah, it says it on the OpenCritic page. Look at it.
Oh,
because
okay. I'm like,
OpenCritic
who's
rounds
saying
up.
it's 7? Okay, got it.
Like, come on, just like listen. 0.5 I can get behind, but anything beyond that is just stupid.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I want 0.5s. I like 0.5s. I think that's
No,
a good
coward.
This is the
Coward
official
move.
announcement.
idea.
for
How is
future
that a
reviews.
cowardly
Like,
option?
I want them to
Sometimes a
stop.
game isn't an 8. It's a 7.5. It's
Yeah, but
closer
if,
to
real
an
if
issue
you're
is
gonna do a 7.75, then like walk
No,
out my
I-
door.
Yeah, no, I
and
think
I'm
we
gonna
all
fuck you.
agree that's
that's
a step
dumb.
too far.
But like a 7.5, I think is like, listen, this game is closer to an 8 than a 7. That's kind of my viewpoint of that.
I think you
Then
just,
just
have to
give
have
it
more
an 8.
conviction. I think you have that. Yeah, exactly. You have to have more conviction in what you believe in.
Give a
That's
shit if
all
I'm a
saying.
coward. Fuck yeah, I'm a coward. God, Bob. Right after we renounced our vows. But yeah, Sandland.
You took him away again. You keep taking him away.
Sandland.
That's why he's a
I-
coward.
I was interested in Sandland, but everything I'm seeing is like, okay, this seems like a good on sale pickup. I do love Toriyama's art, but it seems like it's not resonating with people the same way that Toriyama's other works have. I'm interested. It seems to be mostly a gameplay thing, not really the story thing. So I'm intrigued to kind of hear more about it. As the
Yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah,
Didn't the movie do really well? Or didn't like what was it like a movie?
it was a show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that did incredibly well. So I
Yeah,
think
they
it's
got like a
pretty-
9.
I
Yeah,
haven't
think
seen much about this
the-
game, but someone compared it to the 2015 Mad Max game, and I have never had my
Oh.
ears perk up higher than that. I was like, wait,
talking
whoa.
I can see the comparison because it is a desert wasteland and it's mainly around vehicle combat.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check this game out then, because that actually sounds right up my alley.
All right, let me find. There's one good trailer that really is good at showing off the vehicle combat. I'm gonna go find it.
Ben Hansen, I think, is the one that said that, Bob. He was kind of like, he was hoping it would feel like, or no, I don't know if it was Ben Hansen. Maybe it was Leo Vader. But he was like, oh, yeah, I kind of wanted it to feel more like Mad Max. It's like close to the Mad Max 2015
Right, yeah,
game.
it's still kind of underperforming, but that's like its closest, I guess, comparison.
Was I wrong? This isn't a JRPG?
It's an action.
I thought it was a
RPG.
JRPG.
It's more actiony because it's like there's land combat that you're playing as the character. There's vehicle combat. So I guess by broad definition, yes, because it is a Japanese role playing game and you have to like build your stats and all that. So by definition, yes.
So it's
It's a
not like,
JRPG.
but it's not like turn based.
No,
no,
not
it's
turn based. It's action.
It's an
It's
action.
vehicle combat.
Okay, interesting. I guess I was under the wrong impression. Moving on to our last game that got reviews that I want to talk about is Another Crab's Treasure. This one actually hit Game Pass. I know that for sure. IGN gave it an 8, and I think you said, Bob, that the person reviewing it is like super harsh. So an 8 out of 10 from him is like really, really high.
Yes, Travis Northrop. He is
Yeah.
the person who gave South Park a 3 out of 10 when everyone was giving it like
Oh,
fives
shit.
and sixes. Like can be very harsh. So, and he doesn't give out 10s like ever. So yes, a 8 is very good from him.
Yeah, and then GameSpot gave it a 7. Game Informer gave it a 7. I think I saw one thing gave it a 10. I just want this game to succeed because I love the developers on Twitter. They are funny, and I am always in the mood for another Souls-like. So definitely one I want to check out. I'm kind of waiting for it to. I don't want to say go on sale, but waiting until I'm in a period where I'm like much more interested in jumping into a game of that caliber.
I'm gonna say Game Pass. I also like the idea that they are bucking the trend that Souls-like games have to be this dark, moody experience. Like it is colorful. The crustaceans are jamming. Like it's very like I guess light and fun atmosphere. And I like that they're being like, hey, it doesn't have to be this dark, moody, game. Like you can have fun with the genre and it can still kick your ass, and I really like that about it. That's like its major selling point.
And the accessibility mode for the game is generally the best accessibility mode I've ever seen in a game, where they just give you a gun and it insta-kills every enemy in the game. And like that's just like perfect, where it's like, oh, I'm having trouble with this boss, I'll just fucking pull out my gun. So yeah, definitely one I want to check out. But yeah, that's all the reviews. So we already talked about Stellar Blade in terms of what we've been playing. Bob, you want to talk real quick about No Rest for the Wicked?
Yeah, that game hit early access last Friday, and I think Fusion wasn't able to talk too much about it. He had just had initial impressions, I think, when we last. Well, I wasn't here, but when you guys talked about it last
You're
week.
there in spirit.
Yeah, right. I listen. But I was able to spend some time with it this week, and me and Fusion are very one and the same in this regard. We both really love Moon Studios and Ori, and I think this is definitely a type of genre that we're excited for them to get into. And I didn't ask Fusion if he had any updated thoughts beforehand, but I think we align on where we are with it, and it's like the visual style is amazing. I mean, it really does have that kind of brush, like art brush style, visual style where it's like it's not high depth or anything, but it's just when a game has just that really good art style, it looks good no matter what, almost like a cell shade. That's like the most striking thing. I think it just makes the world look so beautiful. And the combat's been good. The story's already interesting. They really rope you in pretty early on. There's a lot of names to remember and places to kind of think about, and they kind of are invoking a bit of a Game of Thrones style. But as far as gameplay goes, it's definitely not Ori. And I think the other comparison I think people want to make is Diablo, because it's that top-down ARPG style game. But if anything, I don't think it's a Souls-like either. But if anything, Souls-like is the closest comparison I could describe it, because you have really tough enemies. You have your action, kind of your light attack, your heavy attack. You have your healing items. Your D-pad's kind of a bunch of different things you can use in battle. You kind of have a campfire bonfire system. And then you have like an open world you're kind of exploring and locked off from until you beat boss fights and stuff. But overall, I'm super happy with it. I think there's a couple weird quality of life things where the world is finite. So when you hit a bonfire, the enemies don't reset; they're still dead. The like healing, like you don't have potions, so those don't reset. So your only healing items are the food you can find, and unless you have enough money to buy more, you're kind of SOL if you don't have them. So it's a weird balance in that regard. To whereas like Souls games, it's like, oh, I go into a boss fight, I die, I go back into a boss fight, I'm gonna have the healing items again, like I'm gonna be fine. But in this game, you kind of have to think about it a little differently, and I think that's a hard mental hurdle for people to get over. But I think, and also too, I think there's some technical issues. I'm running it on a 4070 and a Ryzen 5600, so it runs at 60 just fine for me on like quality settings, but it even then can still hitch a little bit. So performance isn't superb, but they've already put out 5 patches in a week. So I think this game's going to be supported. I think what they're doing so far is really ambitious, and I love that it's a completely different tone than Ori. So yeah, nothing but great things to say about it so far.
Is this an approachable game? Like, am I gonna have trouble if I haven't played a Souls-like, or is this like you gotta have some experience within the genre? I know you said it's not really a Souls-like. I'm sorry, but yeah.
No, but I think you do though. Like, I don't think you can't hack and slash your way through this game. You have to, like, the parry window is tight. That's not very forgiving. There's no difficulty settings. And the other annoying thing is that when you die, your weapon and your gear degrades, and so if you die too much, you're gonna lose all your stuff. And again, with the world being so finite, you can kind of get trapped in a certain scenario. So it's pretty punishing, I would say, and not for the faint of hearts. But I think if you really want a good challenge, this is definitely going to be a game that you can sink your teeth into.
And this was something we were discussing, but I actually wanted to get your input, Bob. Does it seem like it's in a state where it could release this year?
No, and I think the roadmap kind of proved that, because this is only the first act. And I don't think next on the roadmap is their second act. I think they want to like stabilize and kind of improve some things. I think this is going to have a Hades style roadmap, where that early access was 2 years before launch of the full game. And I think this is going to be on a similar path, I think.
You tell me that this is this year.
Who did?
Fusion Sand 1.0 this year, because he thinks that.
Well, Fusion, he has a lot of hope. I respect him for it. But
I mean,
he's a very hopeful man.
In Fusion's defense, Will and the Wisp came out in 2020, so they've already had 3 years, and to get like a first act that's like 12 to 15 hours, you know, you kind of steamroll after that, or kind of snowball. So I think it's possible, and maybe they did say 1.0 is coming out this year. I could totally be wrong in my speculation, but I just think about other early access games that have a similar release strategy, and I don't think that 1.0 would be this year. But I'm okay with that too. Like the way they're supporting this game already, I'm perfectly happy with whatever they wanted.
Very excited. You're selling me. Fusion sold me. I'm gonna wait for that 1.0 though. I'm not a big early
100%.
guy, but yeah, very interested to check that one out. In 2025, it seems like that's the way you're talking about it, so that's unfortunate. But hey, that's always fun. I need something after GTA 6. But that's the end of the podcast, boys. I think we had a good one. Big fan of the new format change. Please, anyone, give us like comments, concerns. Like, tell me, is this a good format? Are you into it? Is this overall a better podcast? I'm overall for it, but I don't know. Maybe Bob's gonna badmouth me in DMs later. Who knows?
You'll see me in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, I'll see you
Our
there.
one loyal fan who's always in the YouTube comments.
Hey, shout outs to all other fans. I respect you all. But yeah, I'm gonna head it out to Moon for our outro.
So back within the safety of our vault, we end this episode of a Slice of Gaming podcast with our new format. So hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to tune in next Saturday for the next episode. We also do have Slice of Anime coming this Thursday. Next Thursday. I forgot what day it was. So be sure to check that out. And we also do have new video content, such as Bench's breakdown of Final Fantasy Rebirth, as well as other content that will be coming in the coming weeks. So be sure to be excited for that. And say good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Peace out.